Candyman, a podcast not about the horror series Candyman or its subsequent sequels, but actually Sweet Tooth on Netflix, the show where we talk about each episode and then review a piece of candy. I'm Alex.
I'm Justin. Welcome to Cheers, the show that's not about what you say when you're toasting a friend at a party. It's about a bar where a bunch of people drink.
I'm Pete.
And we are going to be talking about the second episode of Season 1 of Sweet Tooth. Sorry about all the dead people. And later on in the episode, reviewing Three Musketeers, the candy bar. As promised in the last episode, / threatened. Ooh, you got a full size.
Yeah, what do you mean a full?
What are you talking about a full size?
What do you get? How can you not do this right every time?
We'll get to it later.
Go buy a candy bar. How is that hard?
How was it in the Great Glass Elevator? Did you land it?
I don't know.
You weirdo.
Vermicious canids, really terrifying. We are going to be talking about, as mentioned, the second episode here. If you haven't seen it, go watch it on
This show
Netflix
is
because
phenomenal.
It's great. We're going to talk about all sorts of spoilers, so turn away if you haven't checked out the episode yet. If you had, come on in. We would love to chat with you about it. Now, we really like the first episode. I think as usual, one hesitation was, this is a great episode. How does this work as a TV show? I think, as usual, we find that out very well here in the second episode. I like this one better than the first even. I thought this was fantastic.
Agreed.
Really amazing.
I thought the first episode was almost like a film, a short film with a little bit of a cliffhanger tacked onto the end of it. When this felt like an episode of TV, just again so much dread. This show feels like the way Walking Dead felt back in the beginning, but they don't.
About that.
They keep the dread. It's much lighter. The characters are a little more fun.
There's humor. There's heart.
Yes,
you're sad.
But I will say, Walking Dead was like, everything's great, murder. And in this show, it's like, there's just dread at all times. There's tension underlying everything. And I like this formula better because it keeps the drama high while also letting us enjoy these characters.
Yeah, you can't even enjoy a nice little horsey ride through the countryside because there's so much dread going on.
Yeah. Well, that one was that one made a little more sense.
Referring to it as a horsey ride, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm just going on a horsey ride to get life-saving medicine for my wife.
So, broad overview of this episode, in case you powered through the series and are going back and listening to this, or hey, however you're watching, it's all good. But in this episode, Gus has finally caught up with Jepperd. Jepperd wants nothing to do with him. Gus eats all of his food, so they end up having to hide out at a visitor center that is already populated by a family of 3. Gus befriends the 11-year-old boy, one of the last human children born before hybrids were born, and they kind of warm up to them a little bit. Certainly the mom does. It's very sweet. There's a lot of bonding, but of course, the outside world pokes its head in the form of hunters who are coming straight for Gus. We also find out a little bit more about the rules of the world, which I thought were interesting. They work very similar to how they did in the comic book, but there's still a lot of tweaks in terms of the plot. And then on the other side, we have 2 other characters that we are promised are going to tie in at some point. They haven't as of yet. We got Dr. Singh, whose wife surprisingly turns out to be alive thanks to some life-saving medicine. The twist at the end there is he's now going to have to make the medicine, as the doctor who has been making it is going to die of cancer. There's some terrible secret behind it. We can certainly speculate.
Made from people.
Well, not... I'm going to guess it's a certain young animalistic type of people in particular, but we'll get to that in a moment. Yeah, sorry, bud. And then we also meet Aimee this episode. She bookends it. She is this very nervous, very introverted person who has hidden out most of the apocalypse, ends up living in a zoo. And at the end, we find out that she adopts a little pig boy. So we'll have to find out more about that. What? That's what it is.
The way you said that, a pig boy. You're not going to believe this. It's a pig boy.
Can you believe this?
It's a pig boy.
It's a boy. It's a pig.
It's a pig boy.
I mean, Aimee really had a moment there, where she was trapped in a little box and then heard a noise and ran out into the street and realized her dream of living at a zoo, and it's nice.
She got a zoo. She bought a zoo. I was she was in a mundane cage, as we hear the lovely James Brolin just really Sam Ellioting it out.
Incredible.
Here.
And just to mention, if anybody's confused, it's James Brolin, not Josh Brolin.
Yeah.
Only an idiot, an absolute
Stupid
idiot
people.
would think it was Josh Brolin. But no, it's James Brolin, the husband of Barbara Streisand.
Yes. Just another Brolin. We're Brolin and Brolin all day long.
You see me Brolin.
I would like to say, since we're talking about the Brolin, I mean, the narration in this is a very high quality, and like he gets to say like some really classic narration stuff, like she was done with the world, but the world wasn't done with her. I mean,
That's
come on.
great. It's like
That's
movie
just-
phone all day, all night.
I
on
mean,
this.
if you're going to sign up for a narration job and you get to say that line, I mean, that's better than in a world. I mean, come on, that's just narration living right there.
It's basically the same thing. And he's a great narrator for another reason. Like, it's just his voice. He's not showing his face. He's saying the words. So you're right.
Yes,
Pete, it's
like most
classic
narrators
narration.
who show their
Exactly.
face.
Hello, it's me, the narrator. Just to say bye. And I remember, I'm not a character, just my voice. Anyway, I'll sit right here blocking a lot of the view the whole time.
I mean, that's Pete. Pete, do you think you're the narrator when we go see movies together? Is that what's going on? Is that why you're
Exactly.
shouting the entire time?
Exactly. I'm just letting people know what's up. You know, helping
He's the
them out.
narrator for everyone in the theater. And a lot of his narration is, oh, shit.
That's right. Yeah.
Let's talk about Aimee, though, just because it is this very isolated section. What did you think about her? What did you think about the thrust of her story and potentially how it, if at all, connects to the rest of the episode?
Well, couple things. What was she eating in her office? She spent a lot of time in her office. And do you
I
think
was
she had,
wondering that, too.
did she have a bunch of snacks?
Yeah, she was just slowly eating what was left in the vending machine, going to Carol's desk, raiding her desk for the peanut butter cups, you know, like just living off the office.
Famous
Do you
desk
think,
order.
I mean, my big question is, do you think she was getting enough of her syrup?
What do you mean, like, she has a sweet tooth?
Yeah, like she also has a sweet tooth. Is she drinking enough syrup? Because as we've established in this world, everybody, in order to be healthy, needs to drink a proper amount of syrup. So, I don't know. I didn't see a lot of trees around there that she could tap, is all I'm
This is
saying.
a big lumberjack. Everyone on this earth are descendants from the great lumberjacks that came early who love their maple syrup.
Yes.
They love it. Pancakes, French toast, and eggs, which seems like a lot, but
Realistically, if you had to live off maple syrup, it wouldn't be that bad of a life, you know? I mean,
I love maple syrup. I love maple. It'd be pretty sweet. I love maple donuts. I love pancakes. I love French toast.
Oh, man.
I love a waffle. I love a waffle because it's a cup for maple syrup.
Wow, regular
agree.
Bubba
I
over
agree.
here, except for maple syrup. I like these Aimee sections a lot. I thought they were very evocative and interesting. I am curious to see how it ties together with Gus's story at this point, because they do seem so relatively separate, though certainly the theme of this episode seems to be about isolation versus exploring the outside world. What do you want to say, Pete? What's going on?
I'm just going to say, but the narrator said in the beginning that, like, all these people are in their separate, but they're going to be flowing together. You'll see how they all come together.
Yes.
There's
And
no
I
doubt
trust
about
him
that.
because anybody I would trust with the love of Barbara Streisand's life, I would trust with my narration.
Exactly.
It's
Trust
crazy
the
how
Brolin.
many times he mentions Barbara over the course of a narration.
Yeah, you got
It's too much. It's
Yeah.
Yes, my lovely wife Barbara wanted to say, this zoo is sick. Sick zoo, right?
That's classic Barbara Streisand. She's always pointing out how sick zoos are.
That's why she's a funny girl.
Yes.
I would
did
like
think
to- Oh, go ahead.
her weapon is as a shitty statuette. Mistake. And I also thought it was strange. Why is her first stop a zoo?
Well, that's the beauty of it, because like she, first off, I really liked her. Just the kind of like, I'm a therapist. This job is rough, and then like it kind of breaking her a little bit, and then her just being trapped in there, and then finally like hearing a noise that's different enough to get her out. I was you want to talk about oh shit moments? I was screaming at my screen to get the fuck out of the middle of the street while you're just watching some giant thing come at you. But the smile on her face when she saw the elephants, it brought her back to like some place, and she realized like, oh, if it's the end of the world, I'm gonna go fucking live at a zoo.
Now, where's your first stop in a post-apocalypse as far as like a zoo-style place?
I got to say, Enchanted Forest Water Safari.
Where the fun never stops?
That's right.
I sort of feel like when the apocalypse hit, the fun stops. The fun slows down. If it doesn't stop, it slows down a great deal.
As long as the water still works, you're good, man.
And those water slides are not powered by fun. I think electricity plays a large role.
Well, as long as you got electricity, the fun doesn't stop.
For me, I think first stop would be M&M's World in Times Square. Really got to just stock up on supplies there, you know?
Smart.
Yeah, you've been trying to crack open that talking green M&M for quite some time, right?
Yeah, well, crack him. I've had him tied to a chair and torture him like they do in the commercials or whatever. Those commercials messed up.
I agree. The way the M&M commercials both sexualize the M&Ms in a lot of them and also are like, let's eat the insides of this one, are like, I don't know. They're like, look at these lovable characters. Well, they have problems too.
Here's the thing. Not a lot of people know this, but the TV show on NBC, Hannibal, was actually a loose adaptation of the M&M's commercials.
My God.
Yeah, it's true.
But where would you guys run once the apocalypse?
I already said M&M's World. What about you, Justin?
M&M's World? I would have to stop by some sort of pickle shop.
Oh, yeah.
Because I would want to stock up.
I'm glad you're keeping it real, man. I'm glad you're keeping it real.
Pickles last. And a lot of people, it's going to be harder to make pickles because there's a lot of steps.
But you got to carry all those jars with you, man.
No, barrel. Pickles come in easy, large format travel barrel. You can roll a barrel. Just look at Donkey Kong. He's just stockpiling pickles.
I just pictured an apocalyptic world where you're just rolling a barrel down a.
You're balancing on it, right?
That's what I'm doing. Exactly. I'm running it. I'm like, just try and catch me, you pickle monsters.
Oh my God.
The Samey stuff is good. I think maybe I'm remembering stuff from the comic because, like I mentioned last time, we read all of the issues, but it's very foggy in my memory exactly what happens. But I assume she's going to start gathering up these animal children into the zoo, letting them live there. And Gus will encounter them at some point. But it should be interesting when that comes crashing together. Let's move on, talk about Singh and his plotline, because also, at least at this point, it's very separate. Just to kick it off, I loved the little twist there that, I don't know about you guys, but watching it, the way that it plays out, it really seems like, oh, his wife died, he's alone, he's doing this Scrabble thing by himself. And then she's there, and it completely in exactly the right way threw me.
And he's fucking cheating. Like, he's straight up cheating in that game.
At Scrabble. Or you think he's cheating on his wife?
Well, if you're cheating at Scrabble, what else are you cheating on? You know what I mean?
Wow. Much harder to cheat on your wife when most of the people in the world have died. But cheater's going to cheat. Cheater's going to cheat. I love this because they surprise us with that, and then instantly we get her pinky popping.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my God, how is this? Like, they
Stop
don't
doing that.
They
man.
don't tell. They just show. I can't help it, Pete. I have the sick. The world, the great crumble is upon us.
Oh my God. It's so creepy.
I love they show, they don't tell, and we just ride along with it, feeling all the emotions along with the characters. Very smart, confident show.
And there's also some really subtle information put in here in terms of he goes to this doctor's office that's in an old restaurant, right? Or is it a Quickie Mart type situation? I think whatever it is, something has been taken over for this doctor's office / lab. We see some soldiers come in and drop something off, and this tension builds. He's clearly scared of them and what they're doing. And we don't really find out, but it leaves this very dangling thing. Like you're saying, Justin, it trusts the audience to go along with this ride, pick up this information, and hold it until the next episode.
Yeah. And the dread with which we see Singh after he reads the book, and they really let us linger on his wife, Ronnie, reading the book and just crumbling, having a much smaller crumble about what she's been injecting into her body to keep her alive. And I thought that was, once again, just great. We just got to see the reaction when we still don't know the actual details. We just know it's horrifying.
Yeah, but I mean, it's also like, you know, as the big man was talking about, you got to do what you got to do to survive. You know what I mean? So if you got to, stab some CGI fur babies or whatever you got to do, to try to, you're trying to figure out what's causing and trying to stop it. That's like,
I've said this for a long time, and I think this confirms it. We have a future cannibal right here next to us on the podcast. You got to do what you got to do to survive. Pete's ready to eat people.
I'll tell you what, and I know this from experience, do not be anywhere near Pete's house the second the internet goes down, like even for a second, because he's outside biting people in the street.
Yeah.
I think you're jumping the gun a little bit, but I appreciate
maybe you are when you're biting people after Spectrum screws you over for like an hour.
Yeah, just a service dip, and you're like, let me just try one of your pinkies. So it's not wiggling.
One of these.
Wiggling pinky.
Wiggle pinky.
Yeah, you gotta wiggle. You can tell the pinky's done when it's wiggling.
I would like to say though, like all that aside, like the shots in the show are so beautiful in so many different ways. I don't know if I've ever seen it this good before. That like fight sequence with the big man while the lightning was happening was just really unbelievable.
I love the phrase, I don't think I've seen it this good before. That was my only comment on that. It's a really well shot show. I completely agree with you. And that fight sequence was amazing. If we want to jump over to the main thrust of the episode, Gus and Jepperd, there's so many good moments here with every single one of the characters. One thing, and this is very much jumping to the middle, and I'm curious to get your guys' input on this, but I'm not sure if you're aware, we're still in the middle of a viral pandemic in real life. And it hasn't. Have you heard about that? I don't know. It's been in some of the newspapers.
Some news, but I've been watching a lot of the fingers, and everyone's fingers are pretty stable. So I feel fine.
Yes, but I have not particularly liked watching pretty much anything that has anything to do with like, we said it in COVID times and everything's over Zoom and that's how we do this TV show. It just feels like, cool it, buddy. I'm in this right now. I don't need to experience this. There have been things here and there that I think have worked in different ways, but this is one of the first ones that I think has really incorporated pandemic stuff in a way that really works. And I call this out specifically because they filmed this during COVID. They were one of the few shows that was allowed to film in New Zealand during the pandemic. And the scene of the family sitting at the table all wearing their masks, that's straight out of COVID. I don't think they ever would have done that scene, would be my guess, before the pandemic, if the show had come out, 2 or 3 years earlier. And it was evocative and smart in exactly the right way.
Yeah. The way you said COVID was like it was another TV show that we were watching.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
It's straight out of COVID season 3.
Straight out of COVID.
And
I'll
we're
tell you
actually
what, that show is going on too long.
Too long.
Hot take. Yeah. Cancel that show, please.
COVID is the lost of our generation. It's getting a little bit wonky at the end. You know what I'm talking about? COVID? Yeah. And I'll tell you what, I don't know if COVID's going to come back and really explain why we were cleaning our mail. I don't know if they're going to make sense of that. Very Lostian. They're not going to be like, "Hey, here's why you hand washed each grape with a Clorox wipe." That's why. That's the polar bear of COVID.
Pete, what did you think about the Gus Jepperd sequences in particular?
Sorry, I'm just thinking about how much Clorox I probably ingested.
Good for you.
Yeah,
no effects, no ill effects.
Yeah, and I'll note on the earlier thing that we mentioned, Pete, during the pandemic, whenever he's ran out on the street, whenever the internet goes down, he does wipe people down before he bites them, which is very nice.
That's right.
Good.
Yeah.
That's good. Very responsible. He would mask the person he was eating as well, which is very responsible.
Yeah, I thought the Gus and the big man were just fantastic together, especially how much the big man did not want to deal with Gus. And I didn't get tired of it. I am glad that he was just, telling it like it is. But also just heartbreaking where Gus catches him walking out the door and he's like, "Are we leaving?" And then just like they sit in it. And he's like, "Oh." And I'm like, "Oh, man, that is heartbreaking." But,
it's funny, we talked about this the last episode, I think, but Jepperd's arc is so straightforward. You know exactly where it's going. We've seen this sort of thing a million times, to the point where he decides to leave. He takes the supplies. He's very persnickety with everybody. And at the end, him saying to Gus, "I'm going to take you that far. That's it." And even then you're like, yeah, okay, we know you're going to go a little farther than that, Mr. Jepperd. But the way the actor has been playing it and the way that it plays out in the show, it completely works anyway, even though it's buying into these tropes at every moment.
Yeah, I mean, it's taking the Jepperd from the comics and making him even more Jeopardy. we're in Jeopardy mode right here, and he truly in this episode, I was like, the casting in the Jepperd role of what's his name, Nanso Anazi, he's unbelievable because he is so gruff, so direct, blunt, but his eyes are so expressive, and you see when he's fighting all those soldiers, like you see him just like not happy that he's this weapon that knows he needs to kill them, which he does. And you see the same innocence that you see in Sweet Tooth in Gus's eyes is there in Jepperd's eyes. It's just Jepperd's eyes. It's just covered by this rough exterior, and it's great. I was tearing up in this episode during that.
Oh my God, yeah. And then also like the dad at the end was like, "Holy shit, man, you still got it. It was great to see you," you know. And I was like, "Dude, you were just watching. Get in there, dude. He's fighting for your fucking..."
I love the way they played those beats with the dad recognizing him, but not quite recognizing him.
Yes,
which
great.
So true. Like, it's a ridiculous thing to point out, but I feel like any other show would have said, "You're Tommy Jepperd, the football star who played on this, blah, blah, blah." But the fact that he's like, I can't quite remember. I know I saw your face on TV and I kind of remember it. I want to be like, "Hey, baby, let's take a selfie," but I'm going to tag the wrong guy when I put it on Instagram. Yeah. Perfect.
I agree. That was such a smart writing choice there. Great.
And I did also want to call out one moment right before that fight scene that I thought was so fantastic as well, that really points to the future of this relationship, is when Gus's face falls after he realized Jepperd is not taking him with him, and then the guys approach, that they immediately together switch into this battle mode was so exciting, where he's like, "How many people?" He's like, "I don't know, a lot. I can't smell them because of the rain." And then they just go. That's great.
It's great. And Jepperd kills a bunch, and Gus throws paper airplanes basically at one of them, and eventually kicks him in the shin, I guess. Or
yeah. Well, what did you think of? There's the moment there, though, where Gus is standing there. He has the slingshot pulled. The guy is looking at him, and this specter of a stag comes up behind him. I think the guy saw it. What's happening there?
I think it was there because after the guy is wrecked by Jepperd, we see Gus again, and the stag is still behind him. So it wasn't just an image that the guy was seeing. I think I took it as this is the warrior beast that lies in Gus's heart, and we get to see it sort of physicalized, whether that was an actual stag or not. That's what it felt like to me.
Yeah, it was kind of like his, like his, I don't know, like almost Avatar, or kind of like somebody looking over him. But it was a really fantastic moment. But what I want to really talk about, though, is the fucking fight scene, guys. I mean, come on. The way it was like outside, but the lightning made it so you could see everything. I mean, that was really unbelievable.
Yeah, it was very cool.
Nothing, you guys?
No, I just said I thought it was great. It was so emotional, and like it was. I loved the distance. We were with the family. Yeah. We were the dad who was just like, "Whoa, I can't believe I'm watching this." And he wrecks shop. But I also think we're saying Gus slipped into sort of warrior mode. I think we see Jepperd recognize that in Gus, that they have more of a kindred there, where they have these soft, almost nougat cores, but on the outside they have the potential to be great warriors.
Another relationship that I really liked, that I thought was very smartly played, was between the two kids. That could have gone in the direction of the little kid being an asshole to Gus. Picking on him or he calls him weird at one point, but it's in a very loving way. And the fact that they immediately bond the way that kids really do, where he asks him, "Hey, do you, kick your leg or do you scratch behind your ear?" And they let them try it. And immediately they're like, "Great, let's play with trains. Let's go. Now we're playing." So true to children. And again, I think there's little choices, but there's smarter choices than you normally would see in a show like this.
Yeah, I mean, that whole thing of like, "Can I go play?" was just like such a different kind of tonal shift in what was happening, and really opened both parties up for a connection. And you saw like it through the kids first, which is really cool. And that whole thing of like where we got the title, where it was like, "Hey, sorry I called you weird. Hey, I'm sorry about all the dead people." We don't really know if it's his fault, but like just really fantastic connection between the kids, and then the excitement over trains and that kind of stuff was just, not only was it powerful, but also just like so well shot and played, and it was really
Gus and Russ. They're could have been friends if not for the world getting in the way. I also love the moment where inadvertently, I think this is also very real amongst kids, inadvertently Rusty exposes Gus's father's lies to Gus. And I thought that scene was so great.
Oh, yeah.
They played where he's like, that's not the Velveteen Rabbit. This is the Velveteen Rabbit. And he's like, where are the fires? Like, you see him calculating, like, oh, if he made up this book, did he also make up the fires? Then, of course, he asks the fires question back. Again, not explaining everything. It's just letting us see what's happening and watch the gears turning in his head. And then he moves into the next question. I just love it. Such great small moments throughout this whole episode.
The actors playing Gus is just phenomenal. Like, they have the whole part where it's like, okay, you want to get food, we got to go to this creepy lodge. And then Gus like enters, and it's hysterical that the big man's got the sniper shot on him, to be like, okay, I'll have your back for when you go in. But the fact of like he walks in and has that kid moment of like, whoa, and then like covers his mouth because he's like, be quiet, get the food, get out, and he blows it immediately. It was just, it's just so well done, so well done.
The one of the things that we talked about with the first episode a little bit was the fairy tale nature of this show, and I think they continue to do that really nicely with the visuals, which we've touched on a little bit. But things like Gus and Russ, his name is Russ,
Rusty,
Gus and Russ sleeping in the boat. Just the whole idea of the visitor center at the end. Oh my God, what is it called? It's not a funicular. The cart that they're riding in is gondola. Yeah, or tram. Them going down in that very slowly through the forest. Just these things that are realistic but whimsical at the same time. They split that line very evenly.
Yeah, with all the like fucked up animal people below.
Yes,
we have to worry about.
Yeah, whoa, oh man, that was crazy.
Well, let's talk about these two cliffhangers, and then we can go back. Well, we talked about the one with Aimee a little bit, but obviously we have these...
He's a
Pig Boy with Pig Boy. We talked about the one with Aimee a little bit, but we've got these soldiers out there. We've got these hunters. They reference Abbott's Law. I don't think we want to get too much into it.
Abbott's ice cream, of course.
Yes, so that's what it's a reference to. Thank you for spoiling it, Pete.
Hey, spoiling ice cream.
All right,
it's not what I was saying. Does ice cream go bad?
This points to a big plot line going forward, and really the big bad of the first season. We won't get more into it than that, but you might have noticed there's a symbol on the hunters' robes or whatever they're wearing, the like camouflage. Yeah, there's a patch on there, and that certainly points to things going forward. But then you have these skull animal kids who are not exactly animal kids. What do you think is going on with them?
I think it's they look like Muppets, so it's probably some tribe of Muppets.
Yep, Jim Henson is there, and he's has a cadre of evil animals. It's Animal for the drummer from the Muppets band.
Yes, exactly. And you think about it, if the post-apocalyptic apocalypse comes, and then somebody's gonna get really too into Muppets, just like somebody's gonna get too into the zoo. So you would see a gang of Muppets. I believe that.
I think it's people that worship the animal, the hybrids, and they are. If we have these hunters who are coming to get the Gusses of the world, I think these animal folks are coming to from the other side to be equally aggressive, perhaps toward the humans that are out there, like Jepperd, for instance.
Any other moments from the episode that you want to call out in particular before we move on, Pete?
I wanted to talk about the. What's it like having a mom moment was just so unbelievable. It's like having a dad, but better. I mean, you guys are right with that? That was a slap in your face. How you guys feeling about that?
I was fine. I threw the TV on the floor and yelled to my kids, "Don't you dare say that. Don't you dare!" Scream. But otherwise, I thought it was cool.
Yeah, okay. I haven't stopped crying.
Yeah, it was really just like having Gus like watch Rusty with his mom, and then like it was just it was really, and you saw the mom was great, like her emotion of like going through like trying to get herself mentally ready to like, oh my God, we're gonna have another kid in this house. Like it was really well done.
What do you think of?
Oh, I was just going to say on the mom, the thing that I think she played so well, which is a really hard emotion to play, is reticence throughout the episode, that you could feel this outpouring of love and excitement that her son has a friend after 11 years, that Gus is a really sweet, wonderful boy, but that she is holding herself back, that she is scared the entire time. You can feel all of that coming from her, and it was lovely.
Yeah, you get
to watch.
the very real parental thing of like, my son needs someone to talk to that's his age, and so she needs that for her son. So that's a good thing, but the more danger that Gus would bring if he stayed there is a bad thing. So it was a great, like, sort of real parental choice.
I mean, I don't want to keep getting back to the real life pandemic, but as a person with kids who have not really been able to play with kids their own age for most of a year and a half, I felt that pretty hard. And I do wonder again if that's something that came up in the writer's room based on the pandemic as they were forming this series.
Yeah, I think that whole sequence felt very present, like you were saying. What do we think of the revelation that that Gus's mom is at Dave Matthews Band live at Red Rocks?
Yeah. Well, she's just, the Red Rock tour is something, you want to check out in your life. There's a lot of great acts that come through there. So.
I mean, I think it makes sense because if anybody is going to keep on playing through the apocalypse and just jam on, it's Dave Matthews.
100%. That guy could play just one long tripping Billies. I was at Red Rocks a couple weeks ago for that job that I was working on.
Oh,
for a
for
show.
real?
I was. We walked Red Rocks. I'd never been there before. It is cool. It's very cool. And Gus's mom was there. She's very nice. I hope we can get over there.
Did you tell her that this adorable reindeer kid is looking for her?
Yeah. You think he's a reindeer or a deer?
I'm not sure.
You think he's got a little?
It rains
magic?
around him a lot. You know what I mean? And it seemed like the animals coming out of the rain that looked magical.
Yes, reindeers cause rain.
Yeah, that's
they only come out. They only come out in the rain. They're reindeer.
Mm-hmm. They're like mushrooms.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's why in the famous true story about Rudolph, he only comes out when it's the big storm.
Snow is like very solid rain. It actually is.
It's very solid rain. That is some solid rain. Very solid rain. I'm glad we've covered so much today. Two other things I want to call out. I love Gus's food coma. Like, he wakes up like a drunk.
Yeah,
like a hungover.
what happened? Yeah.
Well, to be fair, he ate Jepperd's pills.
Yeah, ooh, that
so
was
he
a
probably
weird moment.
was wasted.
Yeah.
I love just the way that he woke up. I thought was so funny. And the scene where he hears music for the first time. Imagine hearing music for the first time.
Yeah, I was like, take off his so he can see. You know what I mean?
I'll tell you what. I wish, though, they had gone back and Will Forte, beyond just creating children's books, also created records for him. Just of like Will Forte singing pop hits and things. That would be amazing.
That's very fun. That's the Last Man on Earth version of that.
Yes. Just him singing "Wanna Be" by the Spice Girls.
100%.
I want to expose you to music.
Yeah,
what you want.
The kind of the last thing I wanted to talk about is just the fact that after the second episode of this show, I am not only just all in, but I cannot wait to get more. I mean, it is just not only so well shot, but like everything seems so thought out and so like it feels like such a great show. So well done.
All right. Why don't we move on to the candy review portion of our podcast? Now, last episode, there was a challenge thrown down that Pete, you originally picked Snickers. And then Justin kind of took it over and went to bat for Snickers being the best of all time. The goat candy bar.
The king. The goat candy.
Pete and I disagreed a little bit, and so Pete actually picked another one, Three Musketeers. So I got to apologize again. I don't know what my problem is. I looked for a full-size Three Musketeers everywhere, and nowhere in my neighborhood, so I ended up having to get fun-size Three Musketeers.
All right, we got to eat three of them in a row then.
No, I can't do that. But I do want to mention the thing is, I don't know about yours. Mine have inspirational sayings on them. So I have, "You are awesome, way to go, keep shining, congrats, well played, and you're unstoppable."
Oh, unstoppable?
Yeah,
Wow.
I think I'm going to eat that one. I think I'm going to eat the You're Unstoppable one.
Are we ready to mow down here?
Hold on. Alex, did you buy, because mine just says you rock. Did you buy the minis because you wanted more affirmation?
I'm feeling real down today after that whole thing about moms being better.
I also got You're Unstoppable.
Wow.
Whoa. All right. Well, let's try this.
So far, so good. You rock. Great. Now to bite into a big old bar of nothing.
Go fuck yourself. This is like eating a chocolate cloud. It's just fantastic.
Clouds. You know what clouds do?
It really is.
They make rain, or in some cases, very solid rain.
I will say, before I get to my reaction to eating a Three Musketeers, I was looking forward to eat a full-size one because the only ones I ever eat are fun-size because the only time I eat Three Musketeers is on Halloween, and that's it. But yeah, it's so soft.
Yeah.
Nice. None of that.
Fluffy.
None of those dumb peanuts getting in the way.
Mm-hmm.
If the first thing you say is, wow, this food is soft, that doesn't mean it's not a compliment. That's what you say about a pillow. That's a pillow compliment.
But I do like the nougat does have a very slight bit of bitterness to it. It's not sickeningly sweet. Mm-hmm. I think that's the reason that, I don't know, I'm not a huge candy fan all the time. I don't love super, super sweet stuff. I think, Justin, you talked about this as well. Maybe we'll get to it at some point. My favorite candy is Twizzlers, which I know everybody disagrees with. But part of the reason is because they're not too strong. Like, they're just sort of like this light flavor to them. And I think it's the same thing with Three Musketeers, where it's like, I don't feel like I'm sitting down and eating a box of Stouffer's chocolate or anything. It's just a light little treat for my mouth.
Yeah, what's nice is the nougat is just in there to just sport up some different chocolate, and it's just like, hey man, we've got like a couple things going on here. It's not too much. Just take it easy, relax, and bite into a fucking delicious cloud of chocolate.
What is nougat?
Down and just fucking enjoy.
That's what it should say on the wrapper. Sit the fuck down and enjoy a little chocolate pillow. What is nougat? What is this goo?
Listen, we don't ask questions about what it is.
I'm telling you, you don't see
what kind
nougat.
of worm it comes from.
Yeah, you don't encounter a lot of nougat in the natural world. Like, there's no...
Too bad, because you should.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. Why is it called Three Musketeers? Because there's only two things in here, as far as I can tell. It feels like... well, seriously, it feels like there's chocolate, there's nougat. It feels like it needs one more thing for the three of them to work together. Or maybe even a fourth thing.
And
so you get their, what is it, Porthos is the fourth one?
No, D'Artagnan's the fourth one.
D'Artagnan, okay.
I agree with you. It's an oddly named candy bar. But I feel
Milky
like
Way should be called Three Musketeers because it's three things.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's a good call. Milky Way also, like, it should have we can get to this on another episode, but that should have like a milk center, not a caramel center. I know caramel has some milk in it, but...
Yeah, but these candy bars are made up in a time when no one paid attention to anything, really.
They were made up at a time where they're like, this is a health tonic.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Take your cocaine, have your Three Musketeers.
Start your day right.
Oh, here we go. I've got the Three Musketeers bar was the third brand produced and manufactured by M&M Mars in 1932. Where's the new candy? This candy's too old. Why are we still doing this?
Isn't that the same year Superman first came out in Action Comics, 1932?
Perhaps. What correlation are you drawing?
I'm drawing that two of the best things of all time came out in the same year.
Whoa.
Originally...
That transformed culture.
I don't think this candy bar has transformed much of anything.
It transformed my mouth
into... You were eating candy before we started recording this podcast.
What does that got to do with anything?
Your mouth already had candy in it, so it wasn't transformative.
No, it was.
It originally had three pieces.
Sorry, Superman was 1938. Never mind.
It originally had three pieces in each package, one chocolate, one strawberry, and one vanilla, hence the name Three Musketeers.
Wow. I would like to try those. So it was like a whole Neapolitan thing. That sounds good.
I feel like that's all, back in the day, they were like, just make everything those three things. Everybody loves them. I do think it's interesting, though, Alex, you love Twizzlers. I feel like they're the chocolate candies, and then they're the more like functional, industrial candies, like the Twizzler ropes, the Necco wafer discs, the weird where candy was like, like very visceral. It was
Yeah, you gotta work for it.
Like a fun dip.
all disgusting.
Wait. You said fun dip's disgusting?
Fun dip. You're eating literally just get a handful of sugar and put it in your mouth. Why?
Yeah, but you get a little stick.
You get a little stick?
Yeah.
What do you think a spoon is? A spoon is a better stick. You don't have to lick it and get goo.
No, that's the fun.
I also don't like Fun Dip. I never understood it.
Oh, my God.
I'm on Justin's side.
I love every candy.
Did you offer up, so you're not a fan of Three Musketeers, Justin? Is that what I'm getting?
Unlock the nougat mystery and then we'll talk. But yes, I would never actively choose this candy bar when a couple packages over, you got the Snickers Daddy just waiting right there.
It's lighter. It's a nice lighter choice to that.
All right, there we go. That is it for this episode of Candymen. If you'd like to support our show, patreon.com/comic book club goes straight to our candy budget. iTunes, Android, Spotify, Stitcher, or the app of your choice to subscribe and listen to the show at Comic Book Live on Twitter. comicbookclublive.com for this podcast and more. Also, we do a live show every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. to Crowdcast and YouTube. We'd love for you to come out and talk about Sweet Tooth. Until next time, the Candymen can.
Solid rain.